But to drive Saddam from Kuwait by force, we will not fail. Air attacks are underway against military targets in Iraq.
The coalition waited 48 hours after the UN deadline expired, then began their attack. H hour was 0300 on January 17, 1991. That was when the first bomb would fall on Baghdad, and when Operation Desert Shield became Operation Desert Storm. Over 600 planes were launched that night, from bases throughout the Arabian Peninsula, from Turkey, from carriers in the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf, from the Indian Ocean, from even as far as the United States.
Support the strike package that went in through that period of time. There had never been any launch as big, a support package as big ever in the history of the Air Force that incorporated that many tankers.
In their opening attack, the Allies combined their stealth and precision technology, electronic warfare tactics, and the classical elements of mass and surprise.
They were able to top off their fuel at the last moment before heading on into the target area.
Although they numbered less than 3% of the coalition fighters, the F-117 struck almost a third of the targets on the first day. These stealth fighters led the attack, penetrating the Iraqi IADs unseen.
The actual first step that was taken that one could not then stop was a TLAM coming out of a ship.
At H-1 hour and 26 minutes, a Navy cruiser in the Red Sea launched a Tomahawk Land Attack Missile, or TLAM. Over 50 cruise missiles were launched that night. They would arrive 5 to 10 minutes after the first F-117 strike.
The second thing that occurred, of course, was taking down the EW sites by the Special Ops Forces.
At H-21 minutes, 8 Apache gunships, guided by Air Force Pavlo helicopters, took out 2 Iraqi reporting sites on the border. This helped clear the way for non-stealthy fighters heading toward western Iraq.
The first actual bomb to fall on Iraq, that occurred at about 9 minutes before what we referred to as H hour.
An F-117 took out the southern IOC that controlled the reporting sites. Stealth fighters then penetrated the heavy air defenses around Baghdad.
We flew 32 F-117s right into downtown Baghdad in the first hour and 20 minutes.
Their next target was the principal telephone communication facility, also dubbed the AT&T building.
If you remember when the CNN guy was reporting and he went blank at H hour plus about 4 seconds, that was that bomb hitting the AT&T building.
At H hour, F-117s took out the ADOC in Baghdad and the IOCs and SOCs in the southern part of the country.
Air defenses and so forth.
Our goal was to put them into shock and destroy their ability to defend their homeland. We were able to do that by having massive attacks across the full spectrum of targets, primarily command and control and his air forces, and also the surface-to-air missiles.
Then we fired a few harms. When I say a few harms, I'm talking about hundreds in the first 24 hours.
HARMs are high-speed anti-radar missiles. When fired, these missiles home in on enemy radar emissions and destroy those radar sites.
The F-15Es went after all of the permanent Scud launchers out in western Iraq and the storage areas associated with that. The F-111s during the same time period, in addition to the TLAMs, took out some of the power grids and hit many of the industrial sites and the airfields. The GR-1s from the RAF also were very heavy in striking the airfields, making sure that the tankers and the AWACS airplanes were protected.
The Iraqis never recovered from the Allies' first punch on that first night.
Of course, at sunup, the first morning, we brought in the F-16s and F-A-18s.
Still able to destroy many nuclear, biological, and chemical storage sites and cripple Saddam's ability to produce and research these weapons. He was never able to use these weapons against the Allies during the war.
We had to divert an inordinate amount of assets to deal with that problem.
Although coalition air power destroyed many permanent Scud launchers in the opening attack, they did not destroy Saddam's mobile launchers. Saddam was still able to send Scuds towards Israel and Saudi Arabia.
Scud missiles caused a lot of problems.
Although the Scuds were never fully suppressed, air power greatly reduced their chances of hitting their targets and dramatically reduced Scud launches from 5 a day to 3 a week. Precision-guided munitions are conventional bombs fitted with laser or electro-optical guidance systems. Only 7% of the tonnage dropped on Iraq and Kuwait was precision tonnage. But some estimate that these bombs destroyed 80% of the strategic targets during the war.
With the combination of stealth and precision attack capability in the 117, air crews were informed to bring home the ordnance if they weren't sure they were locked to the right target.
With precision munitions, the coalition could avoid civilian areas and hit leadership targets instead.
We went after their Minister of Defense facilities. We went after the security facilities. We went after the Ba'ath Party headquarters facilities. Those were the areas where the most barbaric acts and decisions supporting those were made and executed and controlled from. It was critical to be able to take that element out of that society. And it's also critical to let the populace see that that segment of their society was as vulnerable as anyone else.
This was an electronic war like no other in history.
The EF-111 was able to go in there very close and jam his acquisition radars and early warning radar. Anytime could put a harm on it, suppress it. And because of that, fear of that, their ability to put harms on them and kill them, they were very reluctant to have their radars up for any length of time.
The Allies used precision weapons to take down Iraqi bridges, cutting off the army in Kuwait from reinforcements and supplies.
On day 4 or 5, I put 11 F-117s and 4 F-111s, dropping precision bombs. And we put 7 bridges in the water the first night.
Iraqi engineers built pontoon bridges to replace the destroyed ones. Allied planes returned and took them out as well. Other aircraft trolled for convoys. The resupply of the Iraqi army slowed from 20,000 tons a day to 2,000 tons.